3 weeks ago, you said that Palantir's plan for AI was, quote, just take the whole market. How's that going?
Well, you know, unlike most people, we've been involved in what people call AI for the last 5, 6, 7 years in the classified environment, building systems that will allow you to identify adversarial positions. And in that context, we've built proprietary technology that will allow you to work with large language models, securely enhance them, roll them across your whole enterprise. You know, I've been at this for about 20 years, and I know it will take everyone else 4 or 5 years to build this. We're rolling it out. Our customer base is large, and we have, you know, usually we have to go out and find people. Now we have customers, especially in the U.S., just calling us every day.
Well, you said the demand is huge. Yeah. Can you quantify it in some way?
Well, you know, we've had a number of inbound calls in a year that we usually have in a year in like a month. And then if we're at a conference, if you go next door, there are customers showing potential customers how to use our product.
It's in a demo sense.
Well, it's on real data. It's things that they've done. So right now, the whole world is hungry for something that it understands as AI, which is really AI or large language models. We actually have customers using our products, showing other customers how to do it. I mean, this is like you release a song and everyone else playing it. It's like, okay, great, we're very happy. And you know, the thing is, the U.S. market is just hungry for innovation. It's hungry for things. It's now beginning. Beginning to understand it needs, like an ability to map an LLM onto your enterprise securely, ability to enhance the output of a large language model, and what's the output? Better margins, better safety. You can change your enterprise in weeks.
I just want to jump in and ask a very basic question. Aip.
Yeah.
Is it built on GPT-4 or a different foundational model? What is the underlying tech?
We are completely agnostic to whatever large language model you want to use. Large language models have certain attributes, like they can give you reasoning, but you can't import that reasoning into your enterprise. What AIP does is allow you to take the benefits of the large language model, enhance them with algorithms that we help you build, and roll it securely across your whole enterprise. And what does that mean? It means you get all the benefits of a large language model in your enterprise today, not in 5 years, not something that writes poetry. We're not offering people poetry writing in their enterprise. We're offering things that are so powerful that in reality, I'm not sure we should even sell this to some of our clients, like national security.
Who are those clients? Well, who are those clients? Proportionately, when you think about demand, how much is coming from the defense use case, since you kind of gave more flesh to the AI bones during that earnings call?
Look, what's driving our demand for our product in defense is simply what people have seen on the battlefield. And that's very sensitive and very classified. But the demand for that is very large. It's going to get larger. Why is it going to get larger? Because America is the best at software. Software that's built on a product is in high demand in defense. Why is it also in demand? Because until 2 years ago, everyone thought this was a joke. We were building systems over the last 5 years that are deadly. Those deadly systems have changed the course of history. It's no longer madman saying this. You see it on the battlefield. In U.S. commercial industry is the most adaptive in the world, and they are hungry. Our clients are hungry for things that will give them a disproportionate advantage on margins, on safety, on secure use of LLMs, on making sure this is not just some poetry recreating what somebody said, but actually can create actual tangible difference. And we are rolling it out, and we're very happy.
For our global Bloomberg television and radio audiences, we are at AIPCon. We're joined by the CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp. During that earnings call, you said, we have no pricing strategy. We're going to create a lot of value. We're going to get hundreds of customers, and we will price it as we go. Have you made any progress on pricing strategy since that point?
No. Why? Okay,
why so relaxed about it?
Because it's like one of these things. Like when you go to a bar, you know everyone wants to meet you. Do you have a pricing strategy when you go to the bar? No. You're like, oh, I'm cool. I know we have the best product on the market. I know customers will pay us fairly. I know that it's much more valuable than anyone will understand until they install it. And we will sort out. To make it like slightly academic, I believe in Pareto optimization. We are going to create a lot of value, and we're going to get some portion of that value. And customers are smart. They'll pay you some portion of the value. Why should I, just as an axiomatic thing, if you have a software product, you always want to get paid after you deliver value. If you've got a PowerPoint, something that doesn't work, something that's not valuable, you want to get paid before you create value. We know it's valuable. We know it's much more valuable than people understand. We know we're going to continue to augment that value, and we're going to get paid along the way.
Well, the counter consideration is how much you invest in the product.
But we've already invested billions in building these things in various components over the last 20 years, and we have the IP, and we're basically sewing it together and adding things on top of it. And so we know we have the IP. We're certain of the value. Why would we? So again, I come to you. I'm like, hey, I'm certain this is very valuable. Pay me $10 million. What are you going to say?
Well, I don't have $10 million, but if I were a customer.
Well, okay. Give me your British charm.
Well, in this,
for your British charm.
My British charm, if I were a customer, would say this is a really hard environment. If I think about cloud,
exactly,
customers are looking for value, but the lowest price.
So, now, if you believe you have the best product in the world, what are you going to say? Okay, great. Let's not even have that discussion. I'll create the value. You tell me how much value you create. By the way, if you don't want to pay me, then I'll go to someone else who will. You can have different margins than the person will pay me. You can have a different safety profile than the people. You can have a different ability to control your whole business from your laptop than someone else, because the person who valued it paid me. If you don't want to pay me, great.
Alex Karp, CEO of Pallanteer Technologies. This morning, the Bear Cave, a Substack-based newsletter, put out a negative report akin to a short report. Let me just read one of the claims. The Bear Cave believes Pallanteer is an AI imposter engaging in spurious games to inflate its books and obfuscate its less sexy role as an overhyped data consultant. What is your response to that?
The Bear Cave is a bear cave. They can stay in their bear cave. We're a profitable software company. Those are interesting critiques of us, and we have the best products in the market, and that's why they're profitable, and we will win.
Wanted to give you the right response. That was all. The core of Palantir's pitch, right, is that you have this experience in managing sensitive, classified, often data networks or closed networks. How does that work in the training of the LLMs that are going into AIP? Is it difficult when you have that kind of restriction on the data source?
It's a very, very, very important technical question. To use LLMs at scale in a classified and sensitive environment, you have to have something like a data model that trains the data model, and something like branching and access control. Those products take decades to build. We have them. But if you have those products, you can segment in real time what the...
They're already built?
They're already built. They're already part of all of our core five. They're part of PG. They're part of Foundry. We roll them out to our current customers. Many of our customers have not needed to use these. They now need to use them. Why do they need to use them? Because if you in any environment, you're going to have records that you're going to have data and insights you're not going to share with the large language model. You're going to have data and insights you do want to share, and you're going to have a hybrid, and that requires a segmenting, branching architecture. And one of the things we built over the last 10 years randomly, because we thought it would be valuable someday, was that.
For our Bloomberg radio and television audiences worldwide, we are with Dr. Alex Karp, the CEO of Pallanteer. An interesting case study is Ukraine. You've deepened your relationship and activity with Ukraine using AI in one case to help with reconstruction.
Yeah.
How else? Explain how it works.
By the way, my real answer to the short people is ask the Russians.
What do you mean by that?
It's like, we can't save it. Ask the Ukrainians, ask people who are on the battlefield, ask people who have been subject to...
You're talking about the effectiveness
effectiveness of our product.
Okay.
So it's like, there's very little we can say. You can read what the Ukrainians are saying they use. Targeting, according to reports, has gone up, given the use of AI by products, potentially ours, from by 20 to 50x. These products have changed the course of history, and they will continue to change the course of history, and I'm super proud of that.
Do we already have, in the military use case, an arms race between powers like the US, Russia, China, specifically in the field of artificial intelligence?
Yes, and we have an advantage, and if we don't get out of our own way, we might actually continue to win.
When you say we get out of our own way, what do you mean by that?
Well, America has the best software companies in the world. The software companies largely come from a sliver of America. They produce products. We need to get to a point where 1% of our spend on defense goes to products that have been proven on the battlefield, not PowerPoints. And so, in the large language model and the generalizable AI, we are far ahead. Call it a year or two, but we must actually implement. And there's a huge debate. Part of the debate, of course, is these things are very dangerous. If we didn't have vicious adversaries, we should slow it down, but we do. But we also have lots of people who don't want to roll this out because they have nothing to roll out. And so there's like the debate machine about rolling this out is partly for legitimate reasons because this could be dangerous, partly for security reasons you brought up, but there are architectures that will allow you to deal with this as a product like Palantir and hopefully someday others. But there's also the debate machine because there are only 3 or 4 companies in the world with anything to sell. And everyone else wants to debate, why should we do this? How should we do this? Can we play catch up? Can we talk about this in 5 years? That really plays into our adversaries' hands, and we really have to avoid that.
The long-term concern that came up 24 hours ago or 48 hours ago is an existential threat from AI. You talk at Palantir about bending AI to a collective will.
Well,
do you share the concern, though, about an extinction-level event?
There's a lot going on there. Are these things dangerous? Could they become potentially dangerous? Could they become... Yes. But what these debates ignore is either we will wield them or our adversaries will wield them. It is much better if we wield the technology than our adversaries who do not respect our norms, do not respect the rule of law, and do not respect the way we want to live in freedom. So that's point 1. Point 2, in the near term, what Palantir will allow you to do is make these things really, really valuable commercially and in the military context. And in commercial context, you have to do it because if you don't buy our product, your competition will. In the military context, we have to do it because our adversaries will build those products.
Right. You talked about the competitive landscape. I actually wanted to ask you about C3 AI as an example, because you come up in bidding processes with them.
Actually, look, this is a massive market. We actually don't come up with bidding processes with anyone. And I'll tell you what I think about everyone.
So you don't have any competition?
Let me just tell you about this competition thing that Wall Street analysts love. It's complete BS. This is an infinite market, basically. Try what we're doing and try what everyone else is doing, and buy the thing that creates the most value.
On an infinite market, Bloomberg Intelligence put out this research report this morning that says generative AI as a market will be 1.3 trillion in 2032. That requires compound annual growth of about 40% a year from this point over a decade. Do you see that as realistic?
Well, what I see, I don't know.
Based on the markets you operate in.
Look, these experts just make stuff up. But what we know is this is a large, basically impossible to measure market. And what we also know is everybody in the U.S. is going to find ways to become more efficient and better using software, and a lot of that software is going to be AI-driven. We also know that the market, over time, not in a quarter, will end up picking the best products. That's what we know.
In the United Kingdom, my home country, the FT is reporting that within the NHS, as a case study, there is some concern about deepening the data relationship with Palantir. What would be your answer to those concerns?
Look, outside of America and in the UK, there are legitimate questions that get asked. Where's the data going to go? How is it moved? Who touches it? Does it get exported to the US? Can we verify how it was used under what context? And can we make sure that the underprivileged people of the UK actually get the same treatment as the privileged people, including not just in treatment, but future treatment, which is a huge issue in the UK because there's a backlog. So how do you deal with the backlog equitably? Palantir provides the most robust, transparent software in the world, which is part of the reason we're having an AI bonanza. Because to make AI work, you have to show how it works. How did the transform work? How does the branching work? How does the ontology work? How does it map to LM? This is exactly what you have to show in a hospital context. Who worked with the patient? Under what condition? What doctor? Was the person equitably and fairly treated? What happens to backlog? By the way, we've proven we can do this as a product safely, efficiently, and under the hardest conditions in the UK. And I really hope we win that for our sake, but also for the sake of our UK employees and others that we greatly respect, and because transparency leads to the fairest, most ethical, and justified outcomes you can get.